Hello, I'm Dan Rogers. Today we are here with Jena Rawley Taylor, former executive director of the Faith City Mission. She's an author, a portrait painter,
Yes.
even has one in the White House, and a TV personality. Jena, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's tell the people a little bit about your life and then how you ended up as the director of the Faith City Mission. And I'm curious to know about this painting you did.
Well, when I was a child, my mother was up at, parent night at school and talked to my art teacher. And the art teacher said, get her into classical training right now at age 7. And so my parents moved heaven and earth to provide me with those classes all those years. I mean, I just wanted to play piano, but they said, no, you're going to be a portrait painter. And my mom said, she just prophesied and said, you're going to be a professional portrait painter by the time you're 29. I said, Mom, that is not how this works. You have to go get a teaching degree and then, paint in the summer. And she goes, you're never going to use that degree. And I didn't. And somehow, divine intervention, I suppose, I gained 7 different representatives from across Texas that would, like Midland, Texas, in the boom, they could not spend that money fast enough. And I was happy to oblige them. And we had a wonderful time in Midland, and we continued to add more reps, San Angelo and Houston and even Ruidoso, that kind, just several. And they would line up. One year, I went to Corpus Christi, and I got there, and they had 36 children lined up for me to take the photographs. So I take tons of photographs of each child, and then the parent and I decide, usually they'll say, I've seen that look 1,000 times. It's really great. And then I go home and paint it in watercolor, which is very unforgiving, but it's much more beautiful. You know how children's skin is so silky. And so watercolor accomplishes that far better than oil, although I have painted a lot of oils. And yes, I did George Bush Jr.'s twin girls, Jena and Barbara, when they were 2. So cute story. He's a young father living in Midland. And so the little girls were in Mexican embroidered dresses. So I sat on the floor to get the shot. And he sat next to me on the floor, and we're trying to get 2 2-year-olds to do something, just be still. And at any rate, and he was trying so hard to get them to cooperate. Well, they're 2. You just chase them and take a picture. There's no, Well, anyway, he made them cry. I said, no, I can't get the shot. We finally got the shot, but it was a cute moment and a frustrated young father.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So, so you painted their portraits at 2.
Mm-hmm. At 2 years old. And it went to the White House when they went to the White House. And just had a wonderful career as a portrait painter until one day I was leading a women's group, Christian women's group, and I felt like we needed to serve in some way. So I kind of looked around and researched a little bit and found Faith City Mission. And so I said, girls, we're not gonna, have beautiful luncheons on seasonal plates. We're going to go and roll up our sleeves and get to work. And so we did, and it was filthy. It smelled so badly, and it was filthy dirty, and it was just, it was awful. And all the girls said, we're not going to do that. And it smelled so badly. And at any rate, I said, you know what? We're going to get this place cleaned up. And so we did. We painted, we cleaned, reconstructed, we moved things around and got it clean and pristine and wonderful. And we found an enzyme that will kill the smell of unwashed bodies. And so it turned into a beautiful, beautiful place. Recently, the old hospice building evidently people didn't want to be in that neighborhood at night to go see their loved ones in hospice. And so the manager was saying, I don't know what to do with this building. What am I going to do with this building? And a dear friend of mine was having lunch with him, and he said, I'll tell you exactly what you're going to do. You're going to give it to Jena Taylor in Faith City Mission. And he went, that's a brilliant idea. I can write it off. And so he did, and we got that beautiful, beautiful building and remodeled it to suit our needs. And the first day when the homeless came in to have lunch at this beautiful place, they said, wow, this is so beautiful. It makes me feel really important. I said, you are important. You're the most important person here. And from there, we just developed these programs and helped them get out of the mess they got themselves into. And the stories are phenomenal. And I actually wrote a book and published a book, and it's called Signs and Wonders 101. And it was 101 miracles that we saw at the mission with these little lost ones, you know, just precious little people. And also the working poor came, and also a group that I love is my little Spanish-speaking only girls. Now, I can't speak, I took 7 years of Spanish, I still can't speak it, but I had a bilingual friend, so she took over that Bible study, and those ladies are just precious, precious. And then after the Bible study in Spanish, they can go shop in our clothing room, which is clean, nice, pressed clothing of every sort that's donated to us. And they can shop for 30 minutes and get whatever they want and whatever they need. And that's a pleasure to get to serve them in that way. It was a wonderful, wonderful time.
So how long were you the executive director?
I was the director for 19 and a half years.
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
So you've just recently stepped down.
Just recently stepped down.
So the work you started is going to continue.
Yes, yes. So recently, this just recently happened, and so we selected what we felt like would be a really, really good director. He's a giant of a man. I mean, he is so big and tall, and he's shaved head. You would not want to meet him in an alley, for sure. And but he has a heart as tender can be, and so he has become the director. And of course, the whole staff. You know, we had HR, and we had all the staff and all the counselors and all the teachers that we all worked together so well. And we had about 25 people on staff too.
So are you in the same location?
It's at the hospice building, yes.
Now, is that the one out north?
Yes, right, almost to the boulevard.
Yeah, where it was old Baptist St. Anthony's Hospital, hospice area.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we renovated, and it's so clean, and it makes them feel special when they're treated that way. And the meals are wonderful. So we have on staff, we have a chef. And when I first got there, all they served was a big pot of goulash of some sort. And whatever they found, they just threw it all together, and it was terrible. So we hired this chef, and he came in and completely renovated the kitchen. We had to renovate, that kitchen was terrible. And we renovated that. And then he prepared all of the menus and made it so nice, really nice, and well presented. And it makes them feel so special. It makes them feel like they're important.
Helps them with self-esteem, right? Mm-hmm. And that's usually probably a lot of them's issue.
Well, when you hear their stories as a children, you just think, oh my gosh, no wonder you picked up a drink. I mean, I'll tell you this one story that just broke my heart. We had someone come to get clean and sober as a man, and no matter what, he could not get clean and sober. He just couldn't do it. Well, then I heard his backstory. When he was a baby in the crib, his older brother was 3 or 4, and their parents were drug addicts. So they were, you know, if one peep out of the children, and they would just go nuts because they're high. And so the older boy would get beer out of the refrigerator, put it in the baby bottle, and put it in the baby's crib, and that kept him quiet so they wouldn't get beaten. of course, if you've been drinking beer since you were a baby, you know, he never could, he couldn't kick it. But we loved him, and he loved us, and we did the best we could. But he's fine as long as he stayed with us. But when he'd go back out, he would just succumb again. And so you hear their stories, and you just think, oh, my Lord, bless your heart.
Well, I've heard nothing but good things about Faith City Mission. I was in Fort Worth talking to some people on my election integrity work, and one of their sons was up here going through your program.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he had nothing but good things to say.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we try to act like a family, and we're all in this together. And I think that's what helps a lot. And if you live to serve, you know, typically people that come and want to work with us, their heart is to serve, and so they make for a great staff, a really great staff. We all work together. We have guest speakers for lunch chapel and evening chapel. So there's a lot of wonderful things that they have access to, and of course, when anybody can go to the store. They go on certain days of the week, but the students all go to the store because they have nothing. And we have, of course, the females too, everything they need. And, you know, we're able to, even those that just don't want to stay with us, but they still need our services. And so that's when Tuesdays and Thursdays, they get to come take a shower, maybe. There's many that just, they're like, I don't know, especially the overnight dorm, which is homeless men, overnight dorm. I think it sleeps 40, and it's bunk beds. You know, it's a huge room. But they can get a hot shower, beautifully, this was all redone. And so they get this wonderful hot shower. They get scrubs that they sleep in, so they have clean clothes on. And we put all their backpacks and everything they own into a room, and in that room, they fumigate all their backpacks because bed bugs are in their backpacks anyway. So, but it just makes it so nice, and it's fun to hear the stories of men and women that got clean and sober and stayed clean and sober. It was amazing.
So you're set up as a nonprofit, I guess.
Faith-based nonprofit.
And you get donations to support your work.
Yes, it's strictly by donations. And we don't get anything from the state because we don't want them to control. We want to be faith-based.
Right.
And so God has always blessed us with enough, and sometimes even more than enough. And so we're able, when I first got there, the poor staff members were making nothing. So we worked hard to get them health insurance. They didn't have any health insurance, and get the things that everybody else gets. And we wanted it to be that legitimate, to be faithful to these men and women that come to help these little lost ones. So.
Well, that's fantastic. So you did it without any government help.
Not one dot. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. But
That's
even
smart.
the children, when the children come, and I'll give you an example, some mothers came and they had little 2 and 3 and 4-year-olds. And so we had I hired a children's minister to minister to the children. Mm-hmm. And they had a wonderful room that was really large, and it was brightly colored, and it was art and just great games and fun things that the woman worked with these kids. And one time a woman came to us to get clean and sober, and she had a 4-year-old with her. But the problem was that he had never spoken a word, and they didn't know what was wrong or what was. Of course, they were poor, so they didn't have any idea. Well, the children's minister worked with this little boy because it's a year-long program. So she worked with him for a year. And I remember the day that I went down to check on the kids and how they're doing. And Miss Kit bent down and whispered into the little boy's ear. And he walked up to me and said, "Hi, Mrs. Taylor, how are you?" Oh my gosh, we were so excited. We were so happy for him. So, it's true that moms and dads are getting clean and sober, but so are the children in another way, because all they've known is chaos and abuse. And when you hear those stories, one guy had his collarbone was broken and never set properly. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Oh, well, my father threw me over the banister of the second floor, and I broke my collarbone." I just went, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible." So, anyway.
Yeah.
It's an adventure.
People don't realize how a lot of the population really lives. Mm-hmm. But I've got rental property, so I see things that will blow your mind.
Oh, gosh. I'm telling you, a lot of women will come and they're beat to a pulp. They're bruised and they've got contusions. They're just a mess. It was a boyfriend. I said, "What happened to you?" She said, "My boyfriend beat me up." I said, "You need to come stay with us then." And, Faith City has so many rescue stories and so many wonderful, beautiful stories of what God has done in each of their lives. That's why I wrote the book, because you just can't believe it if you weren't there. And it just tells those wonderful stories of redemption and new beginnings and a fresh start and a chance for it to happen. Their last 3 months that they're in the program, they stay with us, they live with us. Everybody has a chore to do, but they can go get a job. So they're still, at home with mom and dad kind of thing.
You're not just throwing them out when they get a job.
No, and so they get a job and they work for 3 months, and at the end of that 3 months, they graduate, and we throw the best graduations in the world. And so it is Katie bar the door with the big festivities and a big luncheon afterward to honor what they've done. Now we have a program where after you graduate and you have a job, but you're still not sure you can face the real world, then you can go to work, but you can live with us and go to work till we can get you on your feet. You can earn a paycheck or 2 or 3 or enough to get a car. That's important for them. So we help them learn how to live life and make a difference.
And teaching them responsibility.
Yes. We have them on a short chain. We have to. You can't put that many addicts under one roof and not have to. We have to be very strict.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Gentle yet firm.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating. So do you see your program's more designed for people with addiction issues rather than just homelessness?
We serve, it's like 3 different groups. So you've got the homeless that just want to come get a meal.
Right.
And then you have those that are on the work program. So they're there living with us. They have a job, but they need to save up for, the car, save up for rent or whatever, and we help them get on their feet. And then we have a program where you can go to college. So you can stay with us and go to AC, get a skill of some sort. I had 2 men that got clean and sober, and they became architects.
Wow.
That we were able to send them to school and get ahead and then go on. It's the best feeling to see somebody climb up, as the Bible says, out of the dust heap and be changed.
Yeah, they could go to AC and they can learn all kinds of skills. They could become electricians and plumbers and welders and HVAC techs.
Yes, they do. It's amazing. And even nurses' aides. Mm-hmm. So when the girls come, and the guys too, we can get them plugged in as a nurse's aide so they have a little extra money, especially when they have children. In fact, just recently, I think she was 19, and she became pregnant. And so she came to get clean and sober so she could have that baby. And she had that baby with us. And we all got to mother that little girl named Rose, and she was just little bitty thing, but it was so great to see this woman start a new life with a new life and get on her feet. This is the wildest story ever. So a woman came to get clean and sober, and she had a little girl who was 4. And the 4-year-old was the mother. She was mothering her mother because this woman she had some quirks. I never got to ask, and of course I can't ask our therapist what exactly is wrong with this woman. But anyway, she had these tics. So we'd be in class, and I'm teaching class, and all of a sudden she'd go, and everybody just kind of stared at each other like, oh my gosh. And she
Did
would,
like Ashburgers or something like that?
Yes, and she would also uncontrollably swear and curse. And the 4-year-old would say, Mom, you can't say that. You can't say that, Mom. And so she had so many quirks, and this, what this could be is Asperger's. We thought she's never going to get a job, never. And so at any rate, we kept working with her, and our therapist kept working with her until she was able, whatever he did, until she was able to try to go get a job. So she did. She got a job. She became manager at that place, and she started her whole life over. How would that have happened on the street? It wouldn't, But the child, the little girl, was the mother, and it was so great to see God heal this woman and give this little girl a chance. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess people have to want to change, right?
I think what happens is they don't want to change, but they're so desperate. They have to change. They have to change. They're so desperate because they've lost everything. I had a guy, great guy, and he was clean and sober and had a job and had a truck and, was going great. And all of a sudden, somebody gave him cocaine. I don't know what it was, but he was instantly hooked. And he lost everything, his fiancée, the truck, the apartment, everything he owned. Just so sad. And we had this tradition. I don't know how it got started, but it's called a pickle hunt. They call it a pickle hunt. And what they do is students from the mission would walk the streets at downtown and try to find a pickle, someone that needs to be in the program, and then bring them back, get a meal. They don't tell them that's the program. They just say, hey, we're about to eat lunch at Faith City. You want to come join us? And they go, sure. So they go, and then they start talking them into staying and getting clean and sober, and that's what's called a pickle hunt.
So they pull them in. They don't push them.
That doesn't work.
No.
But they can speak of their own, what happened in their own life. And so the other thing that happened was the craziest thing of all. It was when they come in, they interview by the team to see if this is going to be a fit. And one guy, this is hilarious. His aunt called him. He was a hopeless alcoholic. Vodka was his choice, and he drank gallons of it. And his aunt called him and said, let's go get an ice cream cone. So he said, okay. So she put him in the car. She didn't take him to get an ice cream cone. She dumped him on the property of Faith City Mission and said, you may not speak to the family until you get clean and sober. And he thought, I have no intentions of staying here. But he had nowhere else to go. So we have an interview process. So I'm asking some questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself. And he had that huge belly, cirrhosis of the liver belly, and totally ruined his liver. And at any rate, I said, okay, well, tell me a little bit. What can you do? And he said, I'm a waiter. I've been a waiter. And he said, I have some difficulties with my legs because he was obese. And at any rate, I said, let me pray. He said, it's my liver. And so I said, let me pray for your liver. So I laid my hand on his liver and just started praying healing scriptures. If the same spirit that raised Jesus Christ from the dead lives on the inside of you, and I know that he does, God will quicken your mortal body unto life. And so I pray that prayer, or signs and wonders follow them that believe. They lay hands on the sick and they will be made well. At any rate, I did that. And when I did that, his liver kicked me like a baby in the womb. And I went, what was that? He said, I don't know. I said, well, let me know how that turns out. I mean, I had no idea. Well, the next time he went to see his liver doctor here in town, he went to see him, and the doctor did a scan of him, and then he said, Alex, what have you been doing? He said, I'm getting clean and sober at Faith City. Why? And he goes, no, really, what have you done? He said, I haven't done anything. Why? He said, because he said, I've seen your liver, and it was late stage cirrhosis. He said, this liver on this scan is perfectly healthy.
Wow.
And he was so excited. He got a new lease on life. He literally lost that whole belly just almost instantly. It was amazing. And he was so excited. Once he experienced sobriety, he was so excited. And so there were so many times, I mean, we don't have money to pay for their medical needs. And of course, we use the clinics that are available to them, but they're not always that great. At any rate, we rely on the Lord, and the Lord is very good.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. That's why I wrote the book, because the stories will blow your mind.
Just obey.
Yes.
If you obey, you're good.
Yes.
Problem is, none of us really want to.
True.
That's the hard part.
Yes.
But it's a choice. Everything's a choice.
Yes, it's true. And, you know, really, I was minding my own business being a portrait painter. And I was listening to a tape. Now, sometimes you might do this. I don't know. I get tapes by pastors across the nation. And I had a teaching tape, and so I put it in so I could listen to it. And it was a crazy woman. And I thought, why did anyone record this woman, and why did this tape come to me? Well, as it turned out, you may be familiar with her. Heidi Baker is a world-renowned missionary to Mozambique. But she's very odd, but incredible, and I love those in Mozambique. At any rate, I just was so convicted. I just was on the floor, snot and tears, and I said, oh my God, I said, Lord, I'll go anywhere and I'll do anything, but I want to do what she's doing. And so he's clear as a bell. His voice said, go to Faith City Mission. I said, I don't know what that is. I think it's a soup kitchen. I'm not sure. And I said, but I'll go. I said, I'd go. And so that started that entire career.
So you went over there 20 years ago.
Volunteered.
And
A couple of years at first, and just came and helped in any way that I could, mostly in the clothing room and that kind of thing. And then I started a little Bible study, and I had a translator that was Spanish speaking, so she could translate me as I talked to the girls, and it was just wonderful. It just flourished, and I'm so glad.
Well, sounds like you've done a fantastic job and been a great asset to the community.
Well, I had fun.
And you had fun while you did it.
I loved it. I loved my job.
Well, it's more blessed to give than to receive, right?
Yes, it really is.
Well, we appreciate you coming by and talking about what you've done, and look forward to seeing you again soon. And how can they get a hold of your book?
You can order it from me, Signs and Wonders 101, and I'm happy to get those for you. In fact, I've got a couple in the car right now. And or you can order them on Amazon, or you can go to jenataylor.com and order them.
Is that Jena or NNA?
Jena.
Just one N?
Jena at jenataylor.com.
Okay.
So.
Well, order the book.
Okay.
I'm gonna order it myself.
Okay. Well, I've got one for you, but
okay.
I always have about 50 on hand at any given time. You never know. And it's really so much fun because many times the girls from Canadian Texas said, come talk to us. Come tell us your stories. And so I get to do that. I get to go to all Midland all over Texas, and just get to tell the stories and inspire people with those stories about what God has done. Build your faith.
That's fantastic. Well, we appreciate you, Jena.
Well, thank you for letting me come on and talk about my favorite subject.
Anytime.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you so much.